do record these sessions, and the following day they are typically uploaded to our YouTube account. And so if you ever miss these, then those are always available the day after within our YouTube account. So we love having you here because I actually get to like see people and engage with you in some way. So, but if you do miss those in the future, then that's where they'll be saved for you to watch at a later date. So tonight we are going to talk about Handshake, and it's really, really important this semester because we are virtual again. Unfortunately, guys, this stinks. I'm a people person. I love meeting with people. I love building relationships with people. I love connecting you with employers. And we're still trying to figure out how to do all of that in this virtual space. So Handshake is our career management system that we have at Appalachian State University. And it is a place that we're trying to funnel all of our students and all of our employers to utilize as this really great tool and a connection mechanism for you all. And there's a lot that's in there that's available to you that I think maybe we just don't realize yet. So tonight we're going to do a little deeper dive on that. We will be utilizing the chat box. So if you don't want to ask out loud and you just want to put your question in the chat box, that's totally fine. Kaylee is with me tonight. She's kind of my co-host for our Handshake workshop, and she's going to be helping me manage the chat box and kind of monitoring you all to see if you have questions, because I'll start talking and I forget to look at you all to see. It's hard to read your body language in these little tiny boxes. So Kaylee's going to try to help me do that tonight. So, but I would love for this to be interactive. So if you have questions and you want to engage, by all means, let's participate. If you're just here to listen, that's totally fine too. So I'm going to try to do some screen sharing and actually go into Handshake and show you how to do some things hands-on. Fingers crossed, it's all going to work the way that it's supposed to. Bear with me. Technology is not always my friend. So just please have patience. If something doesn't go exactly right, we'll wing it tonight. All right, sound good, everybody? All right, cool. All right, let's get going. I'm going to put you over here on this other side and talk to the screen. All right, so what is Handshake? I already talked a little briefly about that, in that it is our preferred career management system that we have at Appalachian State. We adopted this system a few years ago. We used to have this horrible, horrible system called Career Gear. It was archaic and terrible, and I'm so glad that it went away because Handshake is pretty amazing once you get in there and start playing around with it. Every single student at App State already has an account set up for them in Handshake. Now you don't have a profile that's completed, and we'll talk about that and why it's important to do it, but you all have an account already set up for you, and you use your App State username and password to access that like you log in for everything else on campus. So this is a place and a space that you can create a profile. So if you've ever used LinkedIn, which I'm sure you have a profile in there. So it's going to be similar to LinkedIn. And it's a place where you can apply for jobs and internships. And most importantly, a space that you can connect and network with employers. So again, this platform is very, very similar to LinkedIn. The positives and the upside to Handshake, I think as a career coach over LinkedIn, is that everything that employers are posting in Handshake is relevant to college students. They understand that your level of experience is going to be limited to part-time work experience. If you're a senior, maybe you've already done an internship. You are involved in clubs and organizations on campus. Your experience is limited to the academic classes that you're taking right now as a full-time student. And the employers that are posting these opportunities in here understand that. And so if you are getting frustrated with the searches that you're doing in LinkedIn and you feel like everything that they're looking for is that they want 3 to 5 years of work experience and you don't have that, I feel like you're going to get a lot less frustration by doing those searches in Handshake. With that being said, I think it's important to search in multiple places just to get a feel for what's out there. And some things may be different postings in some platforms than other. But for me, I think Handshake is the great space for you to start that search. So that's my pitch for Handshake on what you can do in there. Finally, registering for on-campus interviews, recruitment events, and career and professional development events. So if you are here tonight, then you probably got an email from me or another career coach, and they redirected you to Handshake to register for this event. So I'm sure that there's already a lot that you're doing in here. We're just going to do a little deeper dive to see if there are things that maybe you aren't doing yet. Okay, so next slide. Let me find my notes. Here we go. So Handshake is the second largest career-centric profile network. You can imagine what the first one is, LinkedIn, right? But along with 100% of the Fortune 500 companies post within Handshake. There are also thousands of jobs from nonprofits, from startups. So if you're not into the corporate scene, there are plenty of opportunities posted from smaller companies and startups that are going to be listed in Handshake as well. And this was, I think this is a presentation that I created like a year ago and have since updated, but I imagine that there's probably more than 300,000 employers that are posting at this point. So there's plenty in there. Sometimes if you feel like it's limited in what's being posted, that usually has to do with where you're searching for opportunities, right? So if you have to be in Raleigh, then you're going to be limited to postings in Raleigh, right? But if you're open to international experiences or across the United States, then you're going to see a broader band of employers that are posting. Okay. All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about tonight is your profile. Students with a full and robust profile are 5 times more likely to be messaged by an employer. So that's a lot. It's really, really important. If you are going to be applying for internships and full-time positions in Handshake, you have to make sure that your profile is complete because they're going to be looking at it. And so we're going to talk a little bit here in a minute about how to do that. All right, so I will get into Handshake in a little bit to show you around, but these are some screenshots that I did because I wanted to make sure that you see it. So this is my profile in Handshake. And the first thing that you see, I've highlighted a couple of important spaces, but the first thing you see is I've circled my headshot. So an employer is 14 times more likely to open up and view your profile if you have a picture there. Now, I understand we haven't had in-person career fairs the last, not last semester or even the one before, and that's when you usually get your headshot. So I hope that we can be in person again soon so we're able to provide that service to you all, because I know that's very helpful when you are creating online profiles. So if you don't have a picture up there, be sure to try to get something in there until we can get to a professional headshot. Directly under that, you'll see Appalachian State University, bachelor's degree, your major, graduation date, and on mine, you'll see GPA. That is something that you can make visible to an employer or hide, depending on what your GPA looks like. So we say if it's 3.0 and above, yes, let's celebrate that and put it on there. If it's below 3.0, let's just leave that part off. And we recommend that for your resumes as well. All right. And then if you move over to the right where it says my journey. So this is like your personal statement or the about me section in LinkedIn. So you have that little space on LinkedIn where you can write 3 to 4 sentences about who you are, kind of your tagline, what your brand is. So that is a similar space here under my journey. So you just want to give them 3 sentences that kind of packs in some of those key skills that you want them to know about. You want to be brief and succinct here. Employers are not spending a lot of time on a whole lot of words. So we want to try to be as impactful as we can in the fewer sentences possible. It's just like all of you, when you're receiving, messages from other people by email, you want it to be a quick and easy message, because you're not going to spend a lot of time reading through a bunch of words. So similar here under my journey. So for education, all of this is pulled from Banner. So that top left-hand corner where it has that basic information, and then under education, all of that is pulled from Banner. And so sometimes I have students reach out to me and they're like, my major's not right because I just updated it with the academic advisor. There may be some lag time in making the change with them, it processing to Banner, and then Banner communicating with Handshake. So give it a couple days to allow that to update. But there are some things within your Handshake profile that are pulled automatically from Banner that you don't have access to change yourself. GPA is one of them, so we can't tweak that in there. It pulls automatically. And then one thing that you do have control over within that education section that I want to make sure that you do, because it can impact you in a negative way, is your graduation date. All right, so if you see in the education section, it says Appalachian State University, Bachelor's, College of Business, and then it has August 2017 to December 2022. If you don't plug that in, then you won't match the year preference for employers when you start applying for internships and jobs. Now, the really amazing thing about Handshake is that they will let you apply for anything and submit your resume, but it's up to the employer, looking at all the preferences that they've set, if you match all of those, if they want to view it or not. So it's there and they can access it, but make sure that you include your end date, the graduation date, in that section. So that's going to help make sure that you match those preferences. And I ran into a lot of students during the virtual career fair last semester. They really wanted to meet with Lowe's, but Lowe's wasn't showing up in their virtual career fair options because they didn't have a graduation date in there. And so that can really impact a lot for you there in that section. So, and then this piece down here on the bottom left where it says your profile is visible to employers. If you do not have your profile completed, I would not make that visible. I would keep that unpublished until you're ready. And then when you're ready, go ahead and make it visible so employers are able to access your public information there. All right, so any questions about those pieces before we move forward?
Hey, Amy.
Yes.
There wasn't a question specifically about that, but someone did ask if it was possible to get the link for the YouTube channel where these videos will be uploaded.
Yes, so on our, yes, I can put it in the chat, or Kaylee, if you'll put it in the chat. So on our website, businesscareers.appstate.edu, under the webinars tab, the link to the YouTube channel will always be published there.
All right.
Okay, so moving on. So as we scroll down, that was the kind of first third section of your profile page. Scrolling down, two main points that I wanted to talk about here are filling in your interests section. So I have here circled actively looking for a job. And you can do the same thing on LinkedIn, all right? But make sure that you click that you are actively seeking some type of position to help you in that search with employers, okay? Also in this section, you can put that you're interested in looking for internships or full-time positions, what locations that you're most interested in being located, what roles that you're interested in, and then specific industries. So this is all a very sneaky way for you to increase your searchability with employers. So they're able to do searches for students based on criteria that they put in their search engine. And so the more keywords that you stack within your profile, the higher it is that you are going to come up on their search. So This interest section is a very easy way for you to put some of that important information in there that they're looking for. On the right-hand side under work and volunteer experience. And I know everybody's like, oh my God, it's another place that I have to fill in all of this stuff. But if you have a resume already in place, copy and paste. All right. So they are looking for the part-time work that you've done. And I don't care if it's Kentucky Fried Chicken or, you know, it's a retail position or you work in a grocery store. All of it's relevant. It's all important. Make sure that you list that, because there's some really great soft skills that you're gaining in this part-time work that you're doing that we can list here and on your resume. So don't downplay these part-time jobs that you have, because they are important and it's the experience that you have. So copy and paste, it's not hard. And we actually, you can upload your resume in Handshake and it will automatically fill in a lot of this for you based upon the information that's on your resume. Of course, you want to go and make sure that it filled in all the right things, or you can go in and build it from scratch, copying and pasting from your resume or from your LinkedIn profile. Okay. So we want to use bulleted phrases just like we would in those other two places, making sure that we're highlighting important skills that we gained or developed in these part-time positions here. Okay. And then the last section of that profile page, you'll see skills listed here on the left. Again, another easy way for you to build in those keywords that employers are going to be using to find you. Okay, so again, this is very similar to LinkedIn, but make sure it's very easy just to add those in yourself there in that section. And then lastly, we have here under organizations and extracurriculars, any clubs that you're a part of, any leadership positions, volunteer work that you're doing on campus or off campus, any professional organizations that you're a part of, list those and your titles or your roles here in this section. And I don't know that it allows you to add bullet points like it does in your job. In the part-time job descriptions up above. I think that you maybe only be able to put the organizations and the dates in which you were a part of that. So any questions on those pieces there?
Amy, there was a question in the chat. Ethan asked, is there a list of keywords to utilize so that SEO is better?
So what I would recommend you doing is take the job description that you want, that you love, right? And put it in a word cloud. And the biggest words are the ones that you want to put in that skill section. Okay, as the easiest way to do it is, you all probably have a pretty good idea of the roles that you want to do or that you're interested in. And you start reading through those job descriptions, you're going to start seeing those keywords that stick out to you, that repeat themselves in all of those descriptions. Those are the words. And we also want to be true to what our skills are, right? But we're playing around here with some things, right? We want to get in front of these employers so we can tell them all the reasons why we're fantastic. All right, so be honest in what those skills are, but hopefully you're applying for things that are relevant to your skill set. So that's a really easy way to see what needs to be in that area there. Good question.
So you said a word cloud? What's a word cloud?
So you can go to wordle.net, WORDLE, wordle.net. And so you can find the job description, something that you want to apply for, copy and paste it into that Wordle. And then it will create a word cloud for you. And so the words that show up or that they use the most in that job description will be the biggest ones in the word cloud.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions before we move on? All right, lastly, and this is I think a pretty important section. On the left-hand side, you'll see where it says manage documents. So before we get started in our internship or job search, we want to make sure that we have all the documents that they're going to ask for ready and saved in the system. All right. So as you're doing searches, a lot of these companies, they will tell you what's expected for you to submit: resume, cover letter, transcripts. So, with cover letters, we only want to write those for the things that require them. Don't just arbitrarily write cover letters because they're horrible and people hate writing them anyway. So you don't waste your time, but write the ones that you have to and upload those there. Your transcripts, you can request for digital versions of those, unofficial transcripts for free through your AppleNet, or there's an official registration process through the registrar's office where you do have to pay a small fee, and they will provide those to you either in paper or digital version also. I think for applying for jobs in Handshake, I've never had an issue with a student using an unofficial transcript, the digital version, which is easy to download from your computer. So go ahead and make sure that you upload those documents. And the most important piece of this is many of you may have multiple versions of resumes and cover letters. So make sure that you title each of those specifically and appropriately, because if you start getting in a hurry and start applying for things, you want to make sure that you're attaching the correct resume to the appropriate position. So make sure that you're really specific in how you title and word those there. Okay. Personal information, again, so anywhere where you see it looks like an eyeball with a line going through it, an employer cannot see that information. So your gender, your ethnicity, your email address. And I know you're like, well, I want them to see my email address. They can communicate with you through Handshake. So they can send you an email in Handshake, but it's not going to come to your App State email address. The only way to make that public to them is if you have your email address on your resume and then you make your resume public on Handshake, okay, where they can see that document. That's how they can access that email address there. And they do that for security purposes. Handshake doesn't want your email all over the place. I appreciate that. And they are able to communicate with you through the email server in Handshake there. So just to know, some of your information is protected in here. Like I said, your GPA, unless you want that to be public, and your email address, those types of things. Next, in the middle, under courses, again, a very sneaky way for you to add in more keywords, right? So this is a space where you can add your 3,000 and 4,000 level courses specific to your major that's going to help increase your searchability within Handshake. And it's also going to show the employers some of the hard skills that you have, right, that you're learning in those academic classes. So be sure to fill in all of those courses, and don't fill in every single business class that you've ever taken, but some of those really relevant 3,000 and 4,000 level classes that are relevant to your major are good there. And then lastly, under projects. All right, so if I have any marketing or management majors, even CIS majors, there's a lot of you that are doing really cool projects in your classes. Maybe you've made an amazing Excel spreadsheet that has lots of crazy formulas and fun things in it that you want to highlight. You can upload that project there. For me, I do presentations all the time. I do PowerPoint and Google Slides and Prezis. But I have a ton of different presentations that I do on various topics. So those I've included on my, this is my pretend profile that I've created. But if you've done some really professional, fantastic presentations, upload them. This is real examples of hard skills and things that you've created. Any kind of graphics that our marketing majors may have created. Those are great things to post in the project section there. So, questions about any of those pieces before we move on? Okay.
Do the projects have to be in a certain format? Like, I know a lot of for CIS, we have like coding projects and stuff that might not be able to be opened by employers.
That is a really good point. So if maybe it's a Word doc that you could link to that, or a way for them to link. Let me double check on that, because that's a really, really good question. And if they're, yeah, for CIS related things, let's figure out maybe a vehicle that you can upload there that would get them to, you know, point B. You know, maybe it's a website that you create that has these things on there somehow, where you kind of create a portfolio. But let me, what is your name? And I'll follow up with you after the presentation.
Christian Lynott.
Well, I mean,
Christian?
I'm a CIS major as well. Going off of Kristen's question, you could link your GitHub if it's code related, and then mark the project as, like, instead of creator, write developer or something, and then that way it makes it accessible and they can see your source code, what you've committed, all that stuff. If you decided to post something like that, that's how my mind sort of assumed that I would post something like that.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
That sounds very technical and fantastic. Thanks. So this is good. Good reasons to engage during these, because I don't know all the answers all the time, but someone on here might know. Great questions. Thank you. All right, so let's transition. Now we've talked a little bit about building your profile, and that's boring and nobody wants to talk about that, right? All right, so making appointments. So we have career coaches, and this is how you make appointments with us, is through Handshake. All right, so you'll come to your home page in Handshake, and you'll go to the upper right-hand corner and click on Career Center. And that drop-down menu will come down, and then you'll click on Appointments. All right, and this will be the next page that comes up for you. All right, so again, you're going to click on Appointments. And then this is the next screen that you'll see. Yet again, schedule a new appointment. And then I don't know that it will allow you to choose anything other than College of Business. So I guess you could try a different one, but I don't think you want to meet with them. So choose College of Business. And then your appointment types will appear. So you are assigned to a career coach based upon your major. So there are 3 of us in our office, and each of us focuses on a different cluster of majors. So I work with finance, econ, risk management, and CIS majors. And so I would be the only one that would appear for you as an option to meet with a career coach. All right. Marketing, management, supply chain, hospitality, and international business is all Veronica Lozano-Tobe. And then Maureen works with undergrad accounting and all grad students. And so we do that intentionally so we can get to know all of you better as students. So we kind of cluster you so we can focus on specific majors. And that really helps us get to know you, and then also the corresponding industries that want to hire you, because we organize the types of employers that we work with as well. So you can see here, you can do majoral exploration, cover letter and resume reviews, interview prep, practice interview, job and internship skills, salary negotiations, LinkedIn and Handshake, lots and lots of different things that we can talk about. And we have 30-minute sessions and 60-minute sessions, depending on what your needs are. So oftentimes, I think practice interviews will only be, I think, an hour long, because we need an hour to actually do the interview, 30 minutes to do the interview, and then 30 minutes to talk about it. So just a heads up on that. But that's how you make an appointment with us. It's very, very easy, very intuitive. Any questions about that? This is the last step. So once you click the appointment type, it'll show you what availability your career coach has. So apparently you get a lot of reminders. So you shouldn't have any problem remembering when you made the appointment, because I think it sends you a lot of email reminders about that appointment and when it's coming up. And I have nothing to do with that. So it does it automatically from the system. So any questions about how to make an appointment before we move on? Okay. So let's talk job search strategies. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click into Handshake at this point. Give me a minute to make sure that I'm in the right space. And please let me know that you can see it once we get there. Kaylee, help me with this, okay, to make sure I am on the right path. Can everybody see that? Did we transition?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can see the Handshake home screen.
Perfect. Yay. Okay. All right. So this would be the home page when you come to Handshake. The first thing we're going to do is go to the upper left-hand corner under Jobs and click Jobs. Okay, we should have transitioned. Oh, it's going to make me sign in. Oh, I love it. Oh, there it goes. Maybe not. Can you all still see that?
Yes, it's on the home screen again.
Okay, that's all right. Let's try it again. Okay. All right, so now we should have a listing of jobs. Can everybody see that? Good, okay. All right, so what we want to do is we get to the job screen and we can start with our filters. So at the top, you'll click location. So I'm going to look for jobs in Charlotte. Just kidding, I love Boone. All right. I tried to do that for a little bit and I came back. Full-time jobs is what I'm looking for. All filters. All right, so if you click on all filters, we want to be paid, right? I'm going to leave job role, industry, employer. I'm going to leave all that open, but I want them to know that my major, P.S. I'm not a finance and banking major, but I am just for today, okay? And that's all I'm going to put. And there's 137 jobs waiting for me. All right. So now we're back to the home job search page, and your results should have shown up on the left-hand side of the screen here. Okay. All right. So now you go in and you start digging in, right? So what I've done already is I've clicked on some things that are interesting to me. Okay. You click on these little purple banners, and then it saves them. So then you can go back. All right, so we're going to go up to the top left-hand corner under saved. And it saved all the things that I just tagged, okay, which is really fun because you can go through and click a bunch of things and then go back later to look. All right, so we should be on the Your Saved Jobs page. Is that what everybody's seeing now?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so what I want to do, let's go in Sherwin-Williams. All right, I'm interested in this position with Sherwin-Williams. And so automatically I can see when the deadline is to apply, when they posted. And then right here, look, it says your school year does not match what is requested for this job. If this information is incorrect, please update it here. That's what I was talking about. If you don't have your graduation date in there correctly, all right, it will send you that flag. So you can go in and update it at that point if you want. All right, so scrolling down, you can look through the job description here, and it'll show you here if you match all of their preferences. I don't match their school year because I'm not actually, I am in grad school, actually, for real, at App, but not in undergrad, so they're not looking for me. All right, so we can look through all of that, and then we can scroll down, and what I really want to show you, and I hope that it continues to show you what I wanted to show you, is this profile piece. And hopefully my internet will work. Can everybody see that? Did we transition to the Sherwin-Williams profile page?
Yes.
Awesome, okay. So not sure if any of you all know that these exist, but they do, and they're amazing, okay? So each company that posts in Handshake has a profile page. So the first thing you can do, you can click follow. All right, when you follow, then you'll start receiving notifications when they post new internship positions, when they post jobs in Handshake, if they post new events, or when they're coming to campus. You'll start to receive notifications on all of that when you click that button. And as we scroll down, we'll see you can get general overview information about Sherwin-Williams. You can review, there are tons, 82 reviews. All right, so these are actual students that have completed internships or work at Sherwin-Williams that have posted reviews about what that experience was like. So if you've had some, heard some things back and forth, you're not really sure about the integrity of the company, this is a really great place to read from real people. And they're not playing around. Like, some of the reviews are pretty intense. So it's not Sherwin-Williams posting these reviews, it's the actual students that have worked there. Then you can continue on. If you end up with an interview set up with Sherwin-Williams or the company, then students who have interviewed have posted on there what that process looks like, because it's different at every company. And they've also posted what questions that they were asked. So I get that all the time from students. They're like, I have an interview and I don't know how to prepare. I don't know what kind of questions they're going to ask me. This is an amazing resource. You can go on here and see that firsthand. They may not ask you the exact questions, but you start to get a general idea and feel for what types of questions that they're going to ask. And then finally, you can see here in a quick glance all of the positions that they have posted for App State students, so jobs and internships that they have available. Okay. So continuing down, this is one of the most important things I want you to look at. Look at these golden nugget contact information links. Okay. So during a pandemic, employers aren't coming to campus. They are not coming to interact with you in person. So we have to work very, very hard to make ourselves stand out, to differentiate ourselves from other people, to over communicate with the employers, to let them know who we are and why we're fabulous. Okay. And so they have contact information here that you can use. So a direct email link here. And then if you come down here to the bottom, an entire public staff list. These are real people that work at this company that are on their talent acquisition team or their HR team that you can reach out to. So you apply for the position and then you email Annie Borders. I actually know Annie and she's fabulous. You email Annie and say, Annie, my name is Amy Odom. I just applied for XYZ position at Sherwin-Williams. I wanted to reach out and introduce myself and see if we could schedule a time to chat because I am excited about Sherwin-Williams and want to learn more about it. Okay, I just totally made all that up, but that's what you want to do, right? Because that's going to differentiate you from the other person that just clicked submit and attached their resume, right? They're like, oh, a real human actually reached out to me and tried to make contact. This is amazing. So what I'm hearing right now from employers is that they're trying to figure out where you are. So in the fall semester, that's usually a really big peak recruitment time for us and for all of you and our employers. And I think that there were a lot of students very unsure of how to navigate the virtual setting, right? And so a lot of those numbers are down. A lot of companies and employers are like, we need more people to apply. Where are they? So this is great for all of you that are still looking for internships and full-time positions right now, because there's plenty to be had. But we have to make ourselves known. We have to reach out and communicate. So these are great ways for you to do that within Handshake. Okay. So questions about that?
Yeah, I have a quick one. So you said that the numbers were down. Is that because of COVID specifically and the limitations that is put on contacting each other, or is that because companies are struggling?
No, I don't think that the companies are struggling. And in fact, there's some companies that have increased their hiring needs because the pandemic has impacted them in positive ways. And so I think what's happening is that a lot of students that would have applied in the fall before kind of freaked out about everything. They're like, I don't know how to interview in a virtual space. I'm not sure if I want to do a virtual internship. I'm scared. And so usually when we're scared and we don't know what to do, we just don't do anything. We just freeze for a little bit until things calm down and go back to normal, right? And so I think there was a lot of that in the fall. And so now I've heard from a lot of employers that are like, hey, we really need to get these positions filled. And our application numbers were down. So it's not that they didn't have the things available, they just didn't have as many students applying.
Okay, so it was the application numbers that were down, not the opportunities. Okay. That makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, and not to say that there aren't companies that were on hiring freezes, because that's 100% true. But we have several industries that they let us know how many, how many positions that they're trying to fill. And I've had some companies that are trying to fill 100 positions. Like, so it just, depends on the industry and what you're interested in. But I think that's good news for all of you. So encouraging, at least. Awesome. Other questions? All right. So I don't want to get too involved in the job search. I mean, I showed you how to use the filters. I think this piece is really, really important, and knowing that this information exists and there's contact information. It's just going to take you getting in there and digging in a little bit to see what those processes look like. Okay. All right. So now let's go back to, let's see. All right. So can you all see my presentation again?
Yes.
Good. All right. Excellent. All right. So moving on, again, this is kind of a segue. We talked in one way for you to connect with employers on Handshake. Another way that I hope that you all are utilizing is the email function. Okay. So I think a lot of times students think that this is spam, and it's not. These are real emails. These are real people. And I have, granted, on my fake profile, I am getting some emails, but Christina from Equitable is a real person, and I know her. She's lovely. And so these are real people emailing students. And so please pay attention. Check your inbox in Handshake frequently and respond. And even if you're not sure if you're interested or not, respond, right? So we have some pretty strict recruitment guidelines at App State. And we try to do a lot of vetting of employers before we allow them in Handshake. All right. So if they're in here and you can see their trust scores, they should be legitimate. Not to say that people don't squeak in and we realize it, but we can always kick them out if we realize that we have, bad feedback from students that it, wasn't a good experience. But we try very hard as best we can to help you with that. So make sure that you are connecting with your employers through these, through your inbox in Handshake. And then of course, I just talked to you guys about that, the company profiles, like super, super easy way for you to connect with them. You can also see on these company profiles, you can see when companies are going to be engaging on campus. Okay, so when they're coming to our career fairs, if they have events, and we'll talk about that coming up, but that's listed on that profile as well. So the last thing I want to talk to you is how to register for events. All right, so I know you all have Zoom fatigue. If you can stomach it, all right, employers are trying to be creative and find unique ways to interact with all of you. And unfortunately, they are limited oftentimes to virtual events. They are posting those opportunities in Handshake. And so it could be information sessions, panel discussions, professional development workshops, open houses, virtual tours. They're doing a lot of really cool things in Handshake, trying to engage you in some way. And I know that maybe sometimes students are like, I'm going to attend this thing, but they're not going to know that I'm there, and I don't think it's worth my time. But I've talked to a lot of employers, and they're like, we're trying to figure out how to connect with students. And so we're creating these events, and we are looking at the registration list. We're looking at the attendees that are coming, and we're reaching out to them after the fact to say, hey, I saw you attended my event. Let me know what you think, or if you have more questions. So it's your foot in the door, another way that you can connect with employers. And even though it feels, because it's in the virtual space, that maybe it doesn't count or it's not going to be worth it, but try it and see, because I think a lot of them are gauging who's attending those and keeping those attendee lists and trying to reach out to you in the future. So you can register, find those events that employers are hosting in Handshake here, and then also anything that we host as Business Career Services, we are posting as an event in Handshake as well. That's going to be Walker Spring Connect and panels and the mock interviews and the career connections that we're doing this year. All of those things, all of our professional development series, everything is posted as an event in Handshake. So you probably get a lot of emails. Hopefully, if you're getting emails from me, you're reading them, right? Because it's relevant and important information to you. But I will let you know and keep you up to date on events that we're posting in there. But you can always go in there and find those yourself also. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So this is your to-do list when you leave here, right? So number one, we're going to complete your profile. Number two, make an appointment with a career coach. We're here. If you can deal with hearing my dogs running in the background and maybe my 9-year-old popping in and being inappropriate and my husband bringing me a cup of tea, then we can meet, because that's what we're doing here. Our hope is that when things calm down, and it sounds like that, I think educators, they may bump up in the vaccine lists. I'm pretty excited about that. We're going to try to get back in person as soon as we can, but you can meet with us virtually through coaching appointments now. Search and apply. All right. If you're still looking for an internship or full-time position, get in Handshake. There's plenty of stuff still available for you to search and apply for. Connect with your employers and register for events. So that is your to-do list for Handshake. So, questions? Are you overwhelmed? Overwhelmed with information?
Yeah, I'm here.
Awesome. Yeah, it's intuitive. It's easy. You just got to use it, right? We've got lots of great information in there. I know that it gets overwhelming, just with every other platform and thing that you're having to use right now. So, and if you still aren't sure after tonight how to navigate through that, then we can meet and I can log in as you in Handshake and we can do a search together, and help you figure it out that way as well. Okay.
I have a quick question regarding internships. Since I'm a transfer student, it's my first semester here. I'm taking all the prereqs to get into the College of Business right now.
Mhm.
So by the end of the semester, I should have them all completed. Does that omit me from getting an internship over the summer? Because I saw that as a requirement.
No, you're good. So
Okay.
meet with Veronica Lozano-Tobe. She's our internship advisor.
I'm scheduling one right now.
Perfect. Yep. Schedule it with Veronica. She'll give you a checklist.
Mhm.
But no, that we understand that happens a lot, that you bump into that, well, I have to be admitted, but I'm not admitted yet. And so they give you a grace period. They understand that happens. So no, that
Okay.
should not be a barrier for you.
Okay. Hey, and that even if it was for credit, that's okay. There's still that grace period. Okay, perfect. So I'll talk to her more about that whenever I get that appointment set up. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions, guys? Awesome. All right. Well, I'll try to keep it under an hour. Be cognizant of your time. Thank you so much for being with me tonight. I appreciate it. I hope it was helpful. Reach out to me if you have any questions after this.